Hi, good morning. Welcome to a new episode of ETRetail Cafe by ETRetail. We are here to make your Monday mornings interesting. And we have a very interesting guest with us today who is doing a great work in omni-channel. Yeah, you heard it right. Omni-channel is the buzzword these days. So we thought, why not tap into it? We have with us Nitin Chhabra, who is the CEO of ETRetail. Hi, Nitin. Welcome to ETRetail Cafe.
Thank you so much, Charu.
So tell me how your journey in retail started. Were you always inquisitive about retail or it happened by chance for you?
Actually, it happened by chance for me because I used to be in FMCG. I used to work in HUL and I met a gentleman who used to work at Arvind. And Arvind that time incidentally was a licensee of Arrow, Lee, Wrangler, and they had their own brands, Newport, Excalibur, and so on and so forth, and Flying Machine. And this gentleman took me around, and I used to be based in Delhi with HUL. And there's a market in Delhi called Vasant Lok.
Yeah.
In Vasant Vihar. So he took me around to, show. I still remember there was a Benetton store there, there's a Reda store there, to see, okay, this is what fashion retail is, what retail is all about. And I found it very, very exciting. And before I knew it, I was sitting in front of the Arvind CEO a week later. I had never traveled to Bangalore. They were here in Bangalore. And they made me stay in some hotel in Brigade Road. It happened very quickly, and before I knew, I was into retail, and I haven't looked back since.
Okay, so it's been a long time because as far as I know, 1999 is when you started your career,
Yes,
and
right.
to 2024 now. So can we say almost 25 years you have spent in the industry? How have you seen the consumer behavior changing? FMCG consumer was more interesting, or the retail and consumer is more interesting?
Well, to be honest, I think one of the things which definitely excited me about retail was because you're very close to the consumer.
Yeah.
Whereas in the FMCG business, you are not as close to the consumer because you're already working through some channels. And that time we didn't really have modern trade that happened much later. We had a little bit of here and there, but nothing concrete. So it was mostly distributors, and you'll have your retailers and wholesalers. That's largely how the model was. And to be honest, at that stage, FMCG was more about distribution and marketing. Right?
Yeah.
That was the whole game. And what excited me about retail was because you come so close to consumer, and that was very exciting for me.
So you have worked with the biggest brands of the India. If I talk about Arvind, you have worked with Reliance. What inspired you to be a part of ETRetail?
Well, actually, while I was in my previous corporate job, and I'd been in retail for a few years, because I joined retail in, I guess in the year 2000, I think, maybe. Yeah, so I guess I joined in the year 2000. And then, it's been about 24 years in retail. And for me, it seemed towards, in about 2012, 2013, I just started feeling that I was not getting that excitement. I was not jumping out of the bed to come to the office. And few things were kind of bothering me. One was because we were actually focused on that company at the upper end of the market. And I could see we were constrained by distribution because there was not enough real estate for these brands to work on. At that point of time, you had online, which was very early stages of e-commerce. I still remember the founder of one of the e-commerce fashion platforms, approached us to take one of our brands at that point of time. And the brand which he was talking about, it was a footwear brand, and the average selling price of that footwear brand was about 8,000. The starting point was more than 5,000. That was the starting entry price point. And I asked him, okay, what is your average price point? He said 600 rupees.
Oh.
So I said, okay, how is it going to work? Right. So, but he was very convinced. And then, to be honest, I didn't go ahead with that deal. And then later on, an ex-colleague of ours, he joined him as the COO. And then this colleague of ours, ex-colleague, spoke to me saying that, why don't we do this model? That, you are coming from a perspective that, there might be brand dilution because your average selling price is low, but we feel we can give you access to new customers. So why don't we do this model that we do a shared risk model? So we worked out a commercial shared risk model where, all sign-ups were from us, from the content, the catalog. So everything was from us. And they said, we will share the data with you.
Okay.
So I said, okay, let's, experiment here. And that worked out great. We started getting orders from Jamshedpur, Guwahati, which were not even in our 25-year business plan, right? So I said, okay, there is something here. And at the same time, I was also feeling that, retail needs a change. It was getting boring. There was no excitement kind of in retail, especially happening at the premium end. And I thought, okay, this could be an answer to a lot of those things. And then my role there would take me to different countries. So I would travel often for work. And when I would travel, I would meet very, different people, because we would always negotiate a joint venture or a long-term license contract. So you always end up meeting the top management of those companies, and they would share with me how e-commerce was, kind of transforming the business. Some were very excited about it. Some saw as an opportunity. Some were apprehensive about it, and quite a lot of them dismissed it, saying that this is not going to last. It's just a flash in the pan, and so on and so forth. So I was very intrigued by all of that, and then I started going deeper and understanding it. And then there was one retailer, right? And I can share the name here. The retailer was John Lewis. So what John Lewis had started doing, the word omnichannel had not been coined by the consultants by them, right? So what they were trying to do is, they said, okay, we'll not open any more physical stores, but we will access more customers through online. And since we have a few stores and they are large stores, we will focus on shipping out from the stores.
Okay.
And they were experimenting largely with click and collect, which they had got early success on.
Yeah.
And then they were saying, okay, we'll click and collect, we'll ship out as well. So that seemed very, very interesting. But the challenges, when I spoke to them, the largely challenges were around tech. They didn't have the, kind of tech to kind of support it. And I felt this is something exactly what India needs, right? What India requires is that we have such a large geography, such a diverse set of customers. It's very difficult. So why retail has, takes time to build here, at least at that point of time, because the only way to grow your business was through your own retail, through your own brick and mortar stores, mono-brand stores, because they were department stores didn't have enough doors. Unlike, let's say, Macy's in US, where you launch a department store, you get 600, 800 doors, right? So you get a certain scale. Here, you can't build a brand on the bank of department stores at that point of time. Wholesale was, again, very small. So everybody was focused on driving their own stores. That's why if you look at that point of time, every brand's largest number of stores were in Asia, and India played a large role, in the distribution through mono-brand stores. We said, okay, this could be a very, very interesting piece. And how if about we merge both online and offline. And that time the e-commerce platform already launched. So my thought process was that why don't we, look at a model to be in the business of selling shovels? Because this is going to be a gold rush in times to come. I want to be in the shovel business. We'll sell shovels. So, and we saw, okay, tech could be something which all of these people would need, and the tech does not exist. So without having a tech background, just with the ambition of building the tech for omnichannel. It was not called omnichannel there. It was an offline, online integration environment, whatever different words being coined. We jumped into it. So so Barry used to work with me. He's worked with me since the Arvind days.
Okay.
So after Arvind, when I joined my previous company, he was the first employee we hired. And then, when I thought of ETRetail, he was the first, logical choice for me to speak to. In fact, I was not so very sure that he will agree, because, we all were in a very nice, cushy job, working with the largest corporate in the country. So I actually, in my mind, had made a kind of a flow and a presentation for him, to how to convince him. But in less than 1 minute, he said, okay, let's do it. So it was as quick as that.
But you pivoted. I mean, the model was different, but post-pandemic, I guess, or during the pandemic, you decided to take a pivot.
Yeah. So I think the pandemic was definitely a defining moment for us. Of course, we saw how the consumers were changing, but I think more importantly, from business perspective. So in a startup, as you start growing, you take VC money, and you take the amount of capital you take is what you need.
Yeah.
You envisage, a business plan, you envisage a burn, but you never envisage a scenario where your revenue will become nil, right? And your burn is 100%. That scenario you never envisage, right? And that's what the pandemic, was literally staring at us. And as in the first lockdown, as you would know, in India was so brutal because there were no logistics being used for any of the lifestyle products, because the government wanted to use logistics for essentials, and rightly so. But it had a massive impact on our business. The reality is, we wouldn't have been, ETRetail would have not been around if it was not for our investors at that point of time. So they helped us out at that point of time to say, okay, we got a couple of tranches for you. So you take, of course, it comes at a cost. So you draw down the tranche as you require. So the very next day we applied for the first tranche itself because we didn't know how long this is going to last, right? And there were all sorts of things. Our clients, were firing people by the droves. Most of the clients did not have the ability to pay us because they did not have visibility on their revenues itself. So we were not getting paid. So our revenue was zero, our burn was 100%, and on the other side, our outstandings were not being paid. So I've never seen such a time. I hope that time never comes back. And then that kind of got us thinking. And then on the other side, the moment the first lockdown opened up, everybody wanted to be on a platform because the inventory was locked into the stores. They needed the tech to sell it online. That was the only channel actually kind of available. And some of our existing clients came back to renegotiate with us, saying, okay, we never expected the volume will be so high. Let's renegotiate our commercial arrangement. But that got us thinking that, our 100% of our business today is dependent on third parties. We can't have one more scenario where, we completely are, at the point of extinction, which we were during that first lockdown. So we need to have some amount of businesses captive to us so that, we do not have this scenario ever again, right? Because It was a very, very tough time for us. So we thought, okay, why not? We've been into retail. We understand that one of the biggest problems, our clients are facing today is adoption. Because their systems processes are set up because of the way traditionally the business has been done. They have many middlemen in the value chain. It's very difficult for them to adapt. All the clients we also had on a platform, they were using 5 to 10, maybe 12, 13% of the most power of the platform because their existing ecosystem was not kind of allowing them.
Okay.
And since there were so many middlemen in the value chain, they were more focused on the middlemen than the consumer, because the middleman was the one who was buying from them.
True.
Right. So we thought, okay, if we have to get into retail, and if we use our tech for retail, and we look at retail from a tech perspective to see what problems tech can solve.
Yeah.
Because retail always had data, right? It always had data. It was always very, very data rich. It's only when the e-commerce guys started coming along, we will start thinking that, why we're not using our data.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, there is a lot which we could do here. So why don't we, look at acquiring some of the business of our clients? And that's when we approached some of our clients who were on our platform to say, okay, we will take this business over. And there was a pitch which we made to the brands. And there was a difficult pitch we made to our investors as well, because they had invested in a tech company. And now here we were saying that now it's going to be retail. And of course, the model at that time, what we pitched to our investors and the board was that the SaaS business will continue and we will have this as a captive business. So that's why we had two verticals at that point of time. The SaaS vertical, we were enabling almost all large categories. We had clients largely from fashion. Then we had FMCG, we had consumer durables, we had pharma, we had eyewear. I mean, think of a category they were using our platform. We were by far the largest players, in our space. And we were, of course, the earliest ones as well. We said, okay, the SaaS will continue because we were doing about, if I remember right, about close to $9 to $10 million of ARR, but nobody else was close to it at that point of time. And then we had this captive brands business, which we started off. And when we started the business, there were two things, we underestimated. Number one was, the power of adoption. We saw how the business zoomed, after we took it over using the tech. And the second, we saw that there are a lot of new problems which we need to solve. We were only solving commerce as a problem, and commerce was this much of a problem. There are problems on design, merchandising, inventory, anywhere, you dig in, tech can play a role.
Yeah.
Right? So, and tech was again very people intensive. This interaction, there's no data point which was getting captured. And it was, so there's lots to do. So we said, okay, then we had to take a hard call to say we want to use our entire tech bandwidth to focus on our new retail business. And then we went back to the board and saying, this is what we want to do. And of course, that time we had, results to show. So the board was very supportive and we let go of our, SaaS business. Of course, it took a bit of time to let go everybody because there were some clients who were with us for a long time. We were deeply integrated into their ecosystem, so we didn't want to leave them in the lurch. So over a period of time, we started letting it go, and we focused on the retail business. How tech could do retail. And I can say that I found SaaS very exciting. This is 100x of that.
So if I have to say you had faced a lot of challenges during your journey, it wouldn't be an understatement that way.
No, it's not, because when we took over, so we had only tech guys in the company, and we had a small team of customer success, right? So they were not getting it, right? What exactly are we trying to do? Because we realized early on, when we jumped into the SaaS business, that people whom you need to create products which don't exist, right? They were different DNA.
True.
So they'll never work for large tech companies. They will never work for service companies, right? They want to build products.
Yes.
So you got to be part of those communities to hire those people. So the biggest risk I felt that time we had was that, do we lose our core tech team? Because now they are not building for multiple brands, and we're saying,
Right.
okay, now we're doing for ourselves. But I think everybody understood what we were trying to do. And I think the biggest kick which the tech team got, that there'll be no adoption issue. Because every time you build a new feature, you have to find a new client to use it.
True.
And then you have the customer success teams to make sure that they are able to maximize it, they're able to use it, and we just discuss the other challenges because of the way the retail was set up. So that was the biggest excitement for all these guys, that we can try something new, we can launch tomorrow, and we'll see how it works. Yes, exactly.
So you have understood the customer perfectly that way?
Yeah, so I think there were a lot of ways, because the first step which we said was, okay, now we have solved the omnichannel problem, but that's only on the commerce side, because we're focused on the omnichannel commerce side, right? So then we said, okay, now first let's solve the problem of two dark stores, let's call them.
Yeah.
One was the supply chain, which was still being run very traditionally and was kind of broken. And on the other end, on the front end side, was a brick and mortar store. Because online, you get every data point. But offline, it has the data, but you're not able to capture it. Because it's very interaction driven, like our interaction here, right? But there's no data point, which is getting converted. If I have to analyze, right, we can't analyze at scale.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, the first step we got to do is, we can't solve both the problems together. Let's focus on solving the front end problems first. So we started off with a brick and mortar store first. To say, okay, what do we need to know? We said, okay, we need to know the funnel first, right? That, okay, there's a product funnel, there's a customer funnel, can we create a funnel? So we started to say, okay, now if we have to understand everything about retail, then we have to get out of this interaction, person to person, peer to peer interaction, move it into a data point. How do you move it into a data point? Everything has to be digital. So if every interaction can be digital, we get a data point, right? If we get a data point, then we can analyze it, we can improve upon it, we can have metrics to measure it, and we can hopefully predict it as well, right? So then we said, okay, then what's the first thing we need to do? So we said, okay, the first thing we need to do is, we don't need to have any sales team in the company. We don't need to have any retail operations people in the field. So as of today also, right now we are a decent sized company. We do not have a sales person in the company. There's no single salesperson in our company.
Oh, nice.
There's no retail operations people in the regions. We don't have that at all, right? And then we have, an app which we call Connect, is what we developed for them, to say everything will happen through Connect, which means their store opening process, which means, their visual merchandising, training, fulfillment of online orders, which we do, the content. Because see how retail has transformed is, today you and I, when we want to buy a product, right, what do we do normally first? The normal journey is, we will go online and try and learn more about it. So a lot of time when we go to the store, we find that we know more about the product than the guy who's trying to sell us on the shop floor.
True.
Right? Because you can't expect him to know about 500 products. But we know what 2-3 things we want to buy. We do more research. And we find him kind of wanting. So we said, okay, let's also give this information and connect to them. Then we also looked at things like attendance, right? We said, okay, now we don't have people in the regions. How do we manage attendance? So then we, very simple things, right? So we geofenced it. And the moment you take your app inside the geofence, attendance is marked. So the whole idea was automate everything, right? Visual merchandising, centrally it is done. The steps are given. They do it. They take photograph, within the app itself. It gives a timestamp, so we know it's been taken from the app. You cannot upload a photograph, and then it gets sent to a central team. The central team runs a software engine on it to see if there are, bigger problems. Then that gets identified, goes back to them. Smaller problems, still the naked eye, which is used to identify, and that's gamified. So whoever does it correctly first, they get rewarded within SLAs, you get rewarded. So we gamified, the whole piece as well.
Oh,
So we
nice.
bought an offline funnel. So today we're able to track, what you pick up from what shelf, what you take into the trial room, and what has gone to the POS. So we also know where the drops are kind of happening. Just the
Okay.
way we know on online. We also realized, because we as we started opening stores, we said, okay, we need to open stores through franchisee route. We will appoint franchise who will open stores for us. So we also wanted to then, make sure that it's also kind of workable for them. So tech would require investment. Software we were doing, but hardware requires
Yeah.
investment. So our endeavor was also to use a hardware investment. So then we started working on, the AI cameras as well, to say that, okay, how can we, work on the feed? So our business becomes hardware agnostic. So whatever feed we do, we run our engines on it, not on the hardware itself, right?
Okay.
So these are the things which we kept going. So now then we know what exactly footfalls are coming. What is so in a traditional store where you have those, traditional hardware, you walk twice, you'll be counted twice.
Okay.
Because we have these AI cameras, we say, okay, now it's only once you walked in. We know the gender, we know the approximate demographic. Of course, we don't know who you are because we don't have your consent, right? So, and then again, there are other areas which you start looking at. How do we do because another problem in retail is the dark inventory. That how do you make sure that same inventory is published everywhere, so you have faster stock turns.
Yeah.
So then we built products around how do we identify that what is dark, and dark is being shown each SKU wise. How can somebody quickly do it? Cataloging used to be a problem. Cataloging used to be done manually. Now there is no catalog person doing manually with us. Catalog is all automated through AI. So we kept going deeper and deeper to solve the problems, and I'm glad that on the brick and mortar store side we have largely solved most of the problems. And now this year our focus is more on the supply chain side.
Nice. So you are so deeply involved in tech, and you yourself said no salesperson, no operations team. Have you ever feared that what if technology takes my job? What will I do?
See, I think there's a that concern we often find, and some of the forums we go to, that's a normal question which get asked. But I think technology makes us more efficient. What, let's say, as a employee I need to do is I need to continuously keep upgrading it. Right? You cannot replace a human. But what it does is, for example, the way we build our entire tech, right? We said let's automate the operations. Whatever is being repeated has to be automated. Right, that's the only way you'll get the efficiency and consistency.
Yeah.
Right now, but to see the impact of it, right, you need a human mind to say, okay, now we've automated it. Has it worked? What do we need to improve upon? Okay, that's the next problem area I've identified. Let's go there. So I think you can't replace the human mind, but I think upgradation of our skill set, and most importantly, a lot of us didn't come from tech background. I think being open to the ways new things are done, I think is very, very important. In fact, once we go around the office, you'll have a look. One of the quotes we have is from Aaron Schwartz.
Okay.
So there's a quote. I hope he says, because you can't believe everything you see on the internet. So I hope he said that. So the quote is something like, innovation is also about you learn from a different industry and apply to your existing business. Right?
Yeah.
So there is so much. So just to share with you, every Saturday, I spend at least 6 to 7 hours, right, only meeting new people. So that every time you meet somebody, you learn something, from them. People are from different industries. Some people are like us from the corporate world, sitting on the fence, want to jump, so they want to discuss what it took, etc. But every time there's interaction happens, there is something or the other, we keep learning, and then we say, okay, this is what they did, and can we apply, something similar? And we see a lot of pieces on our tech which we saw from different industries. So, for example, we have common pricing across all channels. So same SKU will not be priced differently with us, because all the pricing engines are sitting on Rubicon, which is a core platform.
Yeah.
So what happens is, when the pricing engine says, okay, now based on rate of sale or different parameters, change the price. The pricing within less than 2 seconds changes pan-India. Online, we all know it's easy to change, but offline also, because in all our stores, we have these digital shelf talkers, right, on all the shelf. Because online, in the listing page, it'll change, you'll know the price. But offline, if you change in the POS, which everybody else does, how will the customer know?
Yeah.
And in our model, the pricing is changing, quite often. So, for example, I was telling you on the, so we said, okay, we want to change the prices on the shelves as well, so the consumers can see it. It's all automated, so there is no lag. So when the consumer sees the same style, same SKU, online, offline, pricing is all same, right? So there is no customer dissonance. Because also one of the big problems our clients in SaaS used to face, right? So we said, okay, then, and during one of my trips to UK, I saw that at Tesco, they were using in the supermarkets these shelf talkers. They were big and thick, on bordering on ugly, but maybe that works in supermarkets, so we said, okay, if we can have a hardware which looks better for our lifestyle fashion kind of stores, and can we link this to our platform? So when we change the price, when our pricing engine change the price, they'll display the pricing anywhere. So as simple as that. So we took from some other industry, the supermarket industry, did a slight modifications to it. Of course, we build, the product around it, a software product around it, to change the pricing simultaneously. So now we have all common pricing.
So you're not afraid of tech that way, that it is going to take your job?
No, I think it's only gonna make it better, and more importantly, I think two things which tech definitely brings. At least what we are seeing so far: repeatability and scalability. So
Nitin, I want to understand 3 things that you have learned during your course of career which have actually helped you become a better professional. What are those 3 qualities?
I think number one would be, I would say, a learning on people hiring. Right. So one key thing is that experience matters, definitely. Don't discount the domain, but the attitude supersedes everything.
Yeah.
So I think that is what we have learned on the hiring bit. Second, I think with tech, almost everything is possible, right? It takes time, but it takes time to see the impact of it. So if you build something today, and if you start feeling that, okay, in the next 10 days, I'll start seeing the impact, that often doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So now the way we are built now, our cost of experimentation is very low. That's why our entire architecture at the entire organization level is built like that. I'm talking about the tech architecture supporting our business. So we keep doing experiments. So few things work, few things don't work. So I think what we see that, okay, anything which you're doing, you don't say, okay, now let me give it 30 days and see what happens, right? It'll take a little bit more time to start seeing results. So I think that's, I would say the second thing. And the third thing is, don't underestimate the consumer. So the consumer will always surprise you. You always don't try to say that this is the consumer will go that way. I think recency matters. So, and that's why our entire ecosystem is built like that. That we look at how the consumer is behaving now, instead of saying that how the consumer has behaved over the last 1 year and 2 years. I think recency matters.
So when you have been a part of the corporate world, you have been on the front end of a show which you are running on your own, and so you must have been hiring talent over there as well, hiring talent over here as well. Yeah. So what 3 qualities that you foresee in an employee, I mean, when you take an interview, that yes, this is the right person, these are the 3 qualities, he matches, he ticks these boxes, and he's the right fit for my company?
So I think one is, like I said, is attitude, right? That's very, very important. In fact, some of the problems, just to give an example, which we were solving all new problems, right? So when we wanted to automate the entire cataloging process, and that time, this was before the machine learning. Machine learning was there, but it was expensive, so we said, okay, we'll automate first, and then we'll take the next steps as we go forward. But there was no, you would not find somebody who's done it before. So we took, a smart girl who was a lead on cataloging, and the cataloging was done, the same way you will write, the catalog, take the images, etc. So she was a lead for that function. So we spoke to her to say, this is what you want to do. And she said, yeah, I'm not a tech person, but I would, love to jump into this, because, she had the domain, but more important, she had the attitude.
Yeah.
And then we built an entire product. Now it's reached a different level altogether. It continues to grow. So I think attitude, kind of always matters.
And 2 other qualities?
So I think the second person is the reason to join us. I think that is very, very important. and that's not easy to find, because in an interview everybody wants to tell you what you want to hear, you know. So I think these two will be, the prime for me. Um, third one I have to think about, actually. But these two, personally, this is what I would definitely look at. You want to answer the third one? So let me think over it.
It's okay. So my next question is, I mean, being on both the sides, I mean, you have seen that the way the established retail brands or maybe the established traditional retail brands work, they work on profitability, right? And when you talk about the new age brands, they, instead of not paying much heed to profitability, but they want to scale to new heights and break new barriers, kind of a thing. So what do you think is the right way to take the business ahead?
I think any business has to be sustainable, right? And without profits, you cannot be sustainable. So I think you can say, in fact, I would say our top management here, we believe in that the businesses have to be profitable to be sustainable, and we deliver value, to our stakeholders and to our shareholders. And you can't do it without, being profitable. Some businesses might get profitable sooner. Some might take more time. That will be the nature of the business and maybe your approach as well. But we are very clear. If you're not, profitable, then you're not building a business.
So what future do you see for ETRetail here in India?
See, I think we have lots of problems to solve, right? So I think, and that's the beauty of retail, right? There is so much data capability to use the data and to digitize that, and then to use that data as a feed, as an input, and build so many applications around it to, like I said, bring in more efficiency, bring in more scalability. And I think what's most critical, at least personally for me, is the repeatability. So I think, so I see that, we're going to build a lot more, applications. Today we have hundreds of applications running parallelly, and we'll go around the office and we'll show you. And I think there's lots to do on that front. But I think what's really exciting is the impact of tech, and on the revenue, on the bottom line, right? It's fascinating. I just love it. So I think what we are, our existing brands are growing. They are growing much higher than the market rate. We are launching new brands. Over the next 3 to 4 years, every year, our pipeline is to launch one new brand every year.
Nice.
And that's why, the repeatability is very important. So that every time we launch a new brand, you don't make the same mistakes, because if skill sets are, the knowledge is very tribal, then how do you scale that knowledge? So I think that's what our platform has been built, and it's an ongoing. I don't think so there will be ever a situation, even, my predecessors will also say that this work is complete. I think the work will go on. And we are also looking at, Middle East as a market. There are some discussions going on, but it's still early stage, for us to take a call. So right now we are focused on India and maybe Middle East, which we don't know, but maybe.
So when we talk about the future of retail, how do you see it from the lens of tech, and how it is going to reshape in the next?
I think the future is exciting, right? Why it's exciting is, earlier you would not be able to. I think tech is increasingly going to become more and more democratic, right? Everybody will have access to it, right? I think the differentiator would not be just the tech, but I think the larger differentiator, would be largely around the DNAs of the company, the culture of the company. So there's a reason why disruption always happens from outside the industry. If you look at e-commerce, Amazon did it. India, to be honest, Flipkart did it. You look at Uber against, rental companies or the cabs. Every industry you see, it's always an outsider who does it, right? It's not because of anything else. Because what happens is the existing businesses, are entrenched in doing things in a certain way. So there's a certain amount of risk and inertia in changing those things. And I think that's what leaves the door open for somebody to come in new and to build from scratch. And again, we have seen already now, some of the disruptors are also getting disrupted, right? That's how it's kind of evolving. So I think for all of us, and also for ETRetail, I think is to continue on the business of, or rather the culture the DNA of experimentation. It's okay to fail. Look at the metrics, what works, what doesn't work. Again, don't be in a hurry to see the impact of tech. As I mentioned, it takes time to kind of build, but have the metrics to say, okay, is it leading to somewhere, right? So I think experimentation will be the key, and I think this experimentation makes it very, very exciting. Somebody experimented to say, I can sell books online. Somebody experimented to say, okay, now extend to other categories. So somebody said, I can, make the ride hailing, much easier. Somebody said, okay, I can have asset light hotels, right? So I think it's all experimentation, which will do. So I think the level of innovation, I expect it to increase. I expect the existing businesses to transform as well. I think you will see a lot of that happening. So I see it's a very, very exciting time for the industry as such globally, and also for us. And we love being, part of it. And I hope we continue to be on the forefront of it, at least in India. A very, very exciting time.
So experimentation and innovation and implementation of all those things is going to take the retail industry to a new height for sure in the future.
That's true.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you on the show. But before we wrap it up, Nitin, I am going to have a rapid fire with you and understand a few things from you. I'm not going to give you a chance to think about it.
Of course.
So my first question is your favorite business book and what have you learned from that?
I think it'll be Shoe Dog.
And what have you learned?
So I think I picked up resilience from it. Right, I love that whole thing. The whole journey which he takes, becomes a distributor, and then how Nike got built, and I know Nike's going through another transformation as we speak right now. And I think that will be one of my favorite books.
One retailer or retail brand that you admire a lot?
See, there I would say, actually I would talk about a retailer person, and who's been on your show. I think Kishore Bihani. So for me, he came in, see, for us, I would say has been easier to reach a lot more customers, because online, when we go live, we get access to largely almost all of India. And then we have a roadmap to say, okay, this is where our online is coming from. Let's open the doors here.
Yeah.
Right. We have so much data to look into it. Right. And tech enables to do a lot of things, to see things and, have a better roadmap, which doesn't cost much and gives you speed. And I think he built the businesses around, when none of this was there, in just sheer conviction, and he thought of scale and how fast he moved, So I'm amazed. In fact, I met him at a flight.
Nice.
He was sitting right, next to me, and I introduced myself and I told him that, this is your journey has been really, really inspiring. So I think he's one retailer definitely, I admire, no doubt about it. In terms of as a retail company, I would say what I've seen closer, I admire Flipkart. I think especially because I didn't have that closer view before Kalyan took over, but I think the way they've been going around the business, even at that scale, I think it's amazing, and how they always get paranoid by every new entrant is still amazing. How small the new entrant is, and I think so. Flipkart will be, my.
Okay.
And of course, just a disclosure, we have for one of our businesses, we also have a JV with them.
Okay. So, if not in retail, what else you would have been doing?
Something to do with food, right? So I'm a foodie. So when I travel, I look at where my meetings are. I spend time at night to go through nice restaurants, some interesting restaurants, interesting food which I could try. So for me, food is very, very important. So I think I would have been involved in the food business, one way or the other, if not here.
Our viewers know that you are the CEO of ETRetail, who's running the show over here, but they don't know what do you do in your free time.
Actually, my 5 days completely, are on ETRetail. My 6th day, which is a Saturday, as I mentioned, I just keep meeting new people because that helps me enrich myself, learn few things which I can apply to my business. And on Sunday, I'm a vegetable. I don't even get out of the bed. Right? So I just I browse the net, I might read something, I watch something, spend some time with my daughter. Both my daughter and me, we are huge rock and metal fans. If there is something playing anywhere around the world or in the country, then we will go in and watch that. But apart from that, I would say that most of it is about ETRetail because it doesn't seem like work. It's very exciting. Every day there's a new challenge. Sometimes there are bigger challenges, but I think that's what makes it exciting.
So my last question to you, being an omnichannel retailer, where do you shop for yourself from?
Well, I think I'm like the Indian consumer who is now channel agnostic, right? So sometimes you buy online, sometimes you buy offline. But off late, because we'll be driving our offline agenda from a company perspective, I've been trying to, shop a lot from offline. So whenever I travel abroad, I try and go and try and see, what we could pick up from them. So I try and to see the shopping journey, is it different, etc. or not. So I always buy on my travels, except that I would buy on so the stores I'm visiting over the weekends. I see something exciting and I buy it. So I need 2 wardrobes because my wardrobe is completely full of now clothes. Most of them are our products. My children are no longer Toys R Us age, fortunately. They don't require even one more wardrobe or one more almirah, to put things in.
Thank you so much, Nitin. It was a pleasure to have you on the show today. I hope you also enjoyed the show the way I enjoyed talking to him. We'll see you again next week with a new retailer, with a new hopes, with a new story. Till then, bye-bye.